only very young. And there were people bleeding, and because it takes a while for it to all get organised. And she was ever so late back. We were getting quite worried about her, but she'd stayed behind and helped, to get these people with cuts and what have you, and which was rather awful. But anyway, and then of course then she had to walk all the way home because there were no trolley, no buses or anything coming down, so she was late getting back. But she stopped and helped all the wounded, even then.
This was when she was a young girl, so she...
Yes, before she went and did her... she was still at school, before she went to university. But,
had she done some first aid then, or...?
Well, not really. Jackie and I went to the first aid. We thought, well, we don't know what to do if anything happens, so we better go. The Red Cross were running these courses, first aid and home nursing. So we went and did that. And then when it came to the time when you were more or less had to, you were either conscripted into the army or one of the forces, or if you didn't go in that, you went in a factory, if you were a certain age. And we didn't want to do that, so we said, well, let's go and join the Red Cross and go and...
You could have trained as a mechanic and worked in the garage, couldn't you?
Yeah, I didn't do any of that sort of work. But, so that's
you didn't want to go and work in a factory?
No, oh no. Well, there were munitions factory. All the girls ended up with yellow hands because of the gunpowder that they were, having to deal with or something. But so we joined the Red Cross, we joined the VADs. So first of all we went to do a course, and then we said to the woman, she said, well, if you're going to join up, you might as well go and join the VADs and attach to the army, which we did do. And of course then you weren't under the army rules or anything. You didn't have to do parades and things like that. It wasn't till later on.
So do you think for young women it was quite a liberating time?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you did things that you would never have thought of doing before. You were just sort of stuck in whatever you went into after school, and that was it. Yeah. So Jackie and I joined up together, and a friend of hers. It was the sister of Jacqueline's first husband, because she was married first of all, and then her husband was killed during the war. He was in what was he in, Stuart? Jacqueline's husband.
Was it the Black Watch? Was he in a Scottish regiment?
Something like that. And he was on leave in Brussels.
And what was his name? Leslie?
Leslie.
Do you remember what his surname was?
Dear, I don't know, I can't remember. Because his sister was joined up with us as well. No, I can't remember his name. I probably got it somewhere.
So what happened to him?
What happened what?
To the husband.
Oh, he got killed. I say, he went on leave to Brussels and he was in a hotel and a butterfly bomb burst on the window of the hotel that he was in, and he was killed. Poor old Leslie. And when I went over there a few years later, I knew where he was supposed to be buried, and Jacqueline said, will you go and see if you can find his grave? And we went out there. Somebody came with me, or was it Gwen came with me? And we couldn't find anything. We went round all the war graves, of the soldiers and what have you, and then we went to the civilian graveyards and asked...
This was around Brussels?
Yeah, but there was nothing, So it was rather sad, because he was a lovely boy. He was only young. They were only about 21. They shouldn't really have got married. But, And that's when, and then of course Jacqueline came home after that, and she felt as everybody should feel sorry for her. Well, you can feel sorry for people up to a certain extent, but then, you know, your sympathy runs out, don't you? And she was making Pa and Mother's life an absolute misery at home. And we said to her, well, for goodness sake, why don't you get away and join something? So she did. She went to, she joined a sort of voluntary thing, and she went to India with it and worked. It was like affiliated to the Red Cross. I can't remember what it was. So of course she went out there, and that's where she met her second husband. So, I mean, you can go on forever. You could write books about things you've done and things you haven't done, you know.
I suppose, losing someone in a war, everybody was losing somebody.
Well, yes. And it was difficult to find, you know, find graves of these people that had died out there. And some were never found, of course.
Did you have other friends that, you know, that had died?
No.
Because as a young girl, most of your friends were ladies and not men.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And also, of course, I was working, you know. I went into the ADs attached to the army, and the first place I went to was that big hospital at Netley, just outside Southampton. But it's pulled down now because it had a mile-long corridor which was along the Southampton waters, and there was always a tale that a ghost, because the sisters were Queen Alexandra Nursing Service, you know, they were the ones in grey and a big white thing. We were the skivvies. We replaced the men, the RMs, you know, the British men that worked in hospitals.
Netley was a military hospital, was it?
Yes, it was a military hospital, yes. That was our first posting. Nearly killed us. It's the mountain, because I hadn't done a lot of walking up to then, because mostly I'd done sort of office work, you know, and things like that. And of course, once you go into nursing, you're on your feet. Ad lib. I can remember coming off duty, and we had to go across a big parade ground, which was all loose gravel, over to our quarters, you know. Oh, we used to stand on the end there because it hurts your feet when you walk on loose gravel. And we used to say, oh God, we got to get across this. And when we went to join up, they said, well, you might have to share a dormitory with one girl, but never any more. And when we got to Netley, we were in a big dormitory with about 12 of us. Oh, dear. And we had the